Welcome to Inbound Sales Journey. If you want to hone your sales skills and learn from the leaders on inbound selling, you've come to the right place. This episode of Inbound Sales Journey is brought to you by the Agency Sales System, the online course designed specifically to teach you how to build a rock-solid agency sales system inside your HubSpot CRM. Learn more at doinbound.com/sales course. Now, here are your hosts, Ryan and Gray.
Welcome back to Inbound Sales Journey. This week, in episode number 96, Ryan and I are giving you guys a couple of resources for your own personal development and for your sales team. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to highlight 5 other sales podcasts that we think might be helpful to you. So if you're not listening to them yet, give these guys a shot, see what you like. And if there are other sales podcasts that you are currently listening to, huge fan of, send them over, and let's share it with the community here. So Ryan, we've got a list of 5 here. Now, we're not going all self-promotional and putting Inbound Sales Journey at the top spot.
The clear number one.
The clear number one. But, dude, you're over there laughing here.
I'm sorry, we are definitely number one.
Thank
Is that
you.
what you want me to say?
See, I could use some affirmation every once in a while.
There you go. You're doing great, Gray.
Thank you very much. We are going to go ahead and jump into the 5, give them to you rapid fire here. Ryan's going to kick us off. Ryan, you lead us off with your top 3. I'm going to wrap us up with the last 2. That way I do 40% of the work, you do 60% of the heavy lifting.
Sounds about right.
Yep, exactamundo, and we'll go from there.
Cool. All right, no particular order. Quick top 3. Number 1 for you guys to check out is The Sales Whisperer. That is hosted by Wes Schaefer. Wes does an interview-style podcast, so he has some pretty interesting guests on there. He also has a military background, which is pretty cool, and he talks about that, and he's big on his family also, so he always talks about his kids. He's got a large family, does a lot of good work over there, is able to maintain consistency with the podcast, and seems like juggle a lot of good things. But he has some interesting guests, and I really enjoy listening to episodes of The Sales Whisperer. So you just go to thesaleswhisperer.com/podcast, and that will get you right to Wes's podcast there.
That's right. We'll link all these podcasts up in the show notes as well. So if you just go to doinbound.com/salesjourney, you'll be able to grab the links there.
Cool. Another one that I'd recommend listening to, now this is not exclusively sales, although sales is touched on here, is the Digital Agency Show. So it's actually digitalagencyshow.com. And YouGurus puts this on. It's hosted by Brent Weaver. It is a agency, obviously it's called the Digital Agency Show. It's an agency-specific podcast. I really like Brent's style here. Again, he has some different interviews on there and just some good, interesting people. If you are particularly an agency owner that listens to this show, I think you get a lot out that. But even if you're a salesperson, I would check it out and go to the website, check out the different episodes, and see if there's anything there, any titles that grab your eye. And the last one, Gray, I guess that I would recommend is the Ultimate Sales Hustle podcast. This is hosted by Stelly. He is one of the founders of Close.io. This has been a podcast. He's been doing this for a long time, and I think a pretty good format to his interviews as well. So I enjoy listening to Stelly. He's had quite a range of people on there. As big in names as Gary Vaynerchuk on there. So that's one that I would recommend checking out too. So those, Gray, would be my 60%, my top 3.
Go. Speaking of Stelly, Stelly FD and Heaton Shaw also have another podcast called The Startup Chat, which, man, there are quite a few episodes. I think they were coming up on 200 episodes into that podcast. But that one's certainly more wide-ranging, but I've really enjoyed that podcast as well. So I'm going to give you the last 2 on the list here. First one's going to be digital agency marketing. So we already had the Digital Agency Show with Brent. This one is Alex Berman, who's been on our other podcast, Inbound Agency Journey here. But he runs a podcast called Digital Agency Marketing. It's a YouTube show, and I think that one's definitely worth checking out. He's got a lot of resources and is learning and growing as he's scaling his team at Experiment 27. And then last but not least, our boy Andy Baldacci. Andy has a podcast. This one is not specifically sales, not specifically agency, but I think that you guys will still benefit from it. A lot of great resources built out there. And it's called The Early Stage Founder, hosted by Andy Baldacci. Talks a lot about startups, marketing, sales, growth. So for the most part, it's pretty focused towards the growth and sales side of things, especially at obviously early stage companies. So Andy is just he's a really solid dude. I've appreciated our relationship having grown over the last year plus, and he does great work with a couple different companies. And so to hear him launch his own show and get that up and off the ground and going has been really cool to see. He's had some great guests on there, including an episode with a guy that we happen to know, Andrew Dymski, Do Inbound co-founder, has been on that podcast. But Andy's also had a whole bunch of good folks on. Brian Castle, who of course has also been on Inbound Agency Journey. Rob Walling, who built Drip and is still working on that. He had Kai Davis on there. Just a bunch of names in the startup space who I always enjoy listening to and learning from. So that would be my last one that I'd throw into the mix there as well. Any other notes on those, Ryan? Anything to add?
I think it's pretty straightforward. Go and check them out, read some titles, see what you like, and let us know what you think. If you guys have other podcasts that you really like, in the show notes section, we have a comment box where you guys can let us know any other episodes. You can also email those over to us, or any other podcasts, rather. You guys can let us know. We are going to spend the next couple weeks, Graham, I'm kind of excited about this, talking about lead gen for agencies. So switching gear from podcast to talking about some practical ways you guys can generate more leads for your agency. So hopefully some good tactical stuff. We'll dive in there and give you guys some ideas. So until next week, keep on selling.
Thank you for listening to Inbound Sales Journey. You can find the show's notes for today's episode at doinbound.com/salesjourney. That's doinbound, all one word, .com/salesjourney. Today's show is sponsored by Do Inbound, the world's first project and process management platform built specifically for inbound marketing agencies. Learn more at doinbound.com. If you enjoyed this episode, why don't you head over to iTunes and subscribe? Make sure you leave us a review of the show. Until next time, remember, life is a journey. Keep moving forward.